Oh, it's you. Come on in. Welcome to the Scumm Bar. Welcome to Scumm Bar Podcast, episode 74, where we talk movies, video games, pop culture, books, Laffy Taffy, and everything in between. I'm your host, Mattbrush, and with me today is Legolas himself.
You have my bow.
And my axe.
Hi, I'm Anth0z. Hello.
Hi, Anth0z. How are you?
I am Yes. How are you?
I am Banana. Be sure to check out our Marvel Marathon show that we also do, where Anth0z and I go over the 22 films in the first three phases of the Marvel
where Anth0z and I go
universe.
over the top. And don't listen to that, because it's not
over the
fun.
top, under
it's
the
crazy.
hedge. We go unhinged all the time.
Oh boy. If every episode were unhinged, doesn't that...
Oh,
then
no,
it's not
that's
unhinged
just,
anymore.
That's normality.
That's hinged. Yeah.
Yeah, or the definition of insanity.
Really?
Anyways, let's get into a topic here I like to call What's New With You?
Well... I didn't think about this. What is new?
Oh,
with
no.
me?
Oh, no.
What's new?
What's new, pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I don't know if I can give you anything new. It's probably what did I say was new last week? Whatever that was. Maybe that's the same this week. So it's not new. It's the same.
You were actually looking at buying a house. You were talking about that last week. And actually,
Oh,
I
right.
haven't asked you about this. I should have asked you before the call, but anyways, yeah.
Right. I forgot. I wanted to tell you before we started recording.
Yeah, I was even reminding myself beforehand, too, and totally forgot about it.
So yeah, we ended up removing all the subjects for the contract. So
Okay.
that is all like good to go. So now it's just make the payment towards the end of November, and then take possession. Yeah, November 30th.
Holy
and then
smokes.
that's it.
Wow.
So yeah.
That is amazing. Congrats.
Thank you. So I guess, yeah, that is news.
Yeah, that's very big news. That's amazing. Good for you guys.
Yeah, so that's...
I'm so happy.
Thank you. So yeah, we're going to be... not quite yet, but eventually we'll start deciding what kind of stuff we want to move in, like what furniture we want to bring from here to there, if we keep everything. Because, like you move into a new place and you want to figure out like what furniture, what kind of look do you want for
sure.
everything. So I'm not quite sure if everything here will fit, but we'll try to figure it out.
I think our house, we're going on the theme of we haven't built our shed yet. So,
So everything's everywhere.
just everywhere. Yeah.
That's good
So
too.
once we build the shed, I think I can finally fix my office again and get us back into there. Actually, that kind of pivots quite nicely into mine. So what's new with me is I've recently failed at trying to cable my house or wire my house for networking.
Oh.
There's no Ethernet ports at all in this house. It was built in the 70s, and there was never Ethernet wiring done throughout here.
Yeah.
So I figured I could do it myself. I do it at work every now and then, and we have to do Ethernet cabling and all that. So I was like, okay, I'll just bring some stuff home, and we can figure this out. So I got home, and I was looking at the same places, and here's a trick of the trade that some people do. If you need to cable Ethernet cable into your house, and you're going to have to go into your attic, because you're going to have to pull that cable up, right? Mm-hmm. Well, actually, you drop it down from the attic, I guess, but you drop it down to then where you're going to put the Ethernet cable. Well, a trick of the trade is look for another cable that's already there. So we have coax cables all around our house.
Yeah.
So what you do is you tape the cable, the Ethernet cable, to the coax cable, go to your attic and pull up the coax, and then you eventually get your Ethernet cable, and you can tape it again and then drop it back down again. So a really easy way to then just kind of, pull your cables, and that way you don't have to constantly fish them out. That was my thought process, at least. So I figured this shouldn't be that hard. I don't know why, but I figured I might get it done in about an hour. Ran up to my attic. I got up to my attic, and I forgot that my attic is full of insulation. So there's like 4 different types of insulation, and they're all in my attic. I know every different type of insulation that's used. There's been like the yellow pads that have been put down onto the attic bottom floor. Then there's like those big pink pads with like the Pink Panther guy on them.
Yeah.
Then there's like the foam spray that's been shot around, and then there's like the little pellets spray that has been shot around as well. So it's like it's a mess up there. So
must be really warm.
You have to. Do you remember that game in kindergarten where you would be on tarps in gyms, and you'd have to put your team on a tarp and then drag the tarp around, and then
Oh,
put your team
yeah.
on the next tarp and then drag your tarp around. You
Yeah.
have to do that in my attic just to get around with all the insulation.
So do you set yourself on one of the pads and then you pull yourself? Is that what you do?
I put 2x4s down in between the trusses, and then I kind of just get on a 2x4 and move the other 2x4 over, and then 2x4 move the other 2x4 over. You know, so that's how I get along.
Isn't that like inefficient railroad building kind of thing?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
So anyways, I got over there and realized that all my coax cables, I don't know why I didn't know this, but I figured it out, are on the outside of my house. They go into my house and they drill through the walls, but they go to the outside and then wrap around the outside. So there's actually no cables in the attic at all. So I pretty much failed and then just instantly went downstairs or out of my attic, I guess, and then just kind of like gave up. I was like, I'm not doing this in an hour. This is going to be a day's worth of work. So
Yeah, I mean, what you're describing, I feel like would have taken me minimum a week or something like that.
Well, I've been wanting to do this since we moved in like last year, so this has been a long time coming. But actually looking at it, I realize in the moment there's so much more work here, so it's gonna be a bit. I've got actually just beside me here. You can see it here. I've got all the cabling and stuff ready, so I've got my. We're gonna fix all of our coax ports to the Ethernet ports as well, and then I've got my Ethernet heads, and then that's all my cable wiring. So we're gonna be cabling everything. It's gonna be quite interesting.
Yeah, so I was trying to figure out because like if you're, I thought that you were trying to install like brand new like drill new holes, get new plates with coaxial and the Ethernet port, so that you wouldn't be replacing your existing outlet plates, like your existing coaxial plates.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how are you gonna do that? Because then you're gonna have to figure out like a new path to snake your cables, and like this sounds like an extremely complicated project.
Yeah, no, our current coaxial plates are actually pretty lame. They're really old plates, and we have a few spots in this house, I hate this, where the coax is actually just through a drilled hole in the wall. So I don't know who does that, but in my opinion, it looks awful, and like it's like what, you $2.99 to buy a faceplate, so you screw it in with 2 screws and you're done. So I don't know why people don't do it. Anyways, so we're going to just replace the coax ones and probably have to cut out a few holes in the drywall to then put in some real plates into those. But nothing too bad. It's very bare minimal when it comes to actually wiring houses.
Okay.
I was so disappointed because I wanted to get that wiring. And it actually affects the podcast too, because I'm currently using my laptop and I'm in my guest bedroom so I can get the wired internet from my router. I want to go back to my office, like we were mentioning there, but my office is a mess right now because of the shed not being finished, and it's not wired, so I need to make sure it's wired. So that's my motivation to get everything wired, is so that I can start recording this podcast in the comfort of my office.
Yeah, that would be nice. Did you ever think about using the like the power line adapters, so where you could just plug it right into the outlet?
Honestly, I just read up on those for the first time, which is kind of a shame for me because I'm in IT. I figured I should have known about these things, but I just learned about them last week. So power line and then Mocha as well, so media over coaxial. And I've never seen those, so I looked into that. It looks like they're actually pretty good, but as I talked to my fiance about them, for one, they're fairly expensive.
Yeah.
And for two, she had actually the mindset that I feel like I normally have, but I kind of fell off the track a little bit. But she was like, if we can wire, and it's cheaper for us to wire, which it is since we have the stuff, she's like, why don't we just wire? And I was like, and like it would be better to be wired as well. It would be a full 100% connection. So I was like, you know what? Like, you are right. Like, we should just put in the work and get it done right instead of just using the power line to fix an issue. Because the power line's kind of a band-aid solution. So
yeah, I guess it's just a matter of like, is all the time and energy you're gonna have to spend putting into this project going to be worth like the money that you save from going under the root? But I think it's probably a significant cost difference too, right? Like, buying a really good power line, because I actually had one when I was at my parents' place. So when I was in my room, I like to kind of change it up a bit. So like my computer desk was nearby my Ethernet port, and then I wanted to move to a different part of the room where there wasn't an Ethernet port, so I ended up buying the power line adapter. Right. I think maybe I paid like $130 at the time, and
that's not bad.
And yeah, it wasn't too bad. And I never had any kind of like connectivity issues. What did I do?
I believe it was like a 60 to 80% rate, so of a rate that you're getting of your Ethernet when you're on power line, and you get closer to 90 and 100% when you do coax. just because the power line is kind of randomly changing as your power gets used throughout your house, because power lines are not necessarily supposed to be used to send data across.
Right.
So when you have power going through them, it kind of disrupts the data a little bit. Now, it's not bad. It's better than nothing, and it's better than Wi-Fi for sure. But when you do full-on wired through coax or through your Ethernet, obviously you're going to get a much better connection.
Yeah. Okay, well, good luck to you with that project. Sounds fun.
Thank you. I'll keep going, keep powering through, and we'll see where we end up. You know what? Maybe I'll end up... I feel like I'm giving up if I buy the Mocha or the power line.
Or the power line adapter?
Yeah. And also, I mean, at some time, we're going to rent out this house to somebody else who wants to move in as well. And they might want to be able to have wired connections too. So it'll be nice to have it set up so the house is ready for it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. Also, it's going to be Cat 6 cable, so it's going to be nice cabling.
Ooh, updated.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, we got a lot to talk about in this episode, so let's move on out of our lives and into the news.
Into the news.
Just before we get into the news, though, actually, we have our first... it's kind of a question from the audience. I do apologize, because I feel like we should have a lot of... Or we always are asking for people to comment and to, subscribe and like and all that kind of stuff. And I really appreciate what we do get from our fans. But I don't spend that much time looking for these things. And I realized the other day that there was a few different facets of our podcast where I didn't know to check to see where there's comments. I found a few old comments, and I realized I wasn't being as vigilant as I could have been. But we happened to get a comment here on our last week's episode, or actually I guess 2 weeks ago because of our Marvel movie one. So anyways, the comment here is from Lucas. I don't know if he's from Ireland, but he's got an Irish flag, so I assume he's from Ireland. And I noticed that we actually have some viewership from Ireland as well, so I'm assuming, Lucas, you're from Ireland. So I love Ireland, so that's cool. He writes in, he says, "Yeah, Scumbar, love the name. Where is the Xbox love?" Actually,
interesting.
It's funny he says this. This happens to be an episode where I did write some Xbox news into here. Now, I didn't necessarily write any
me
love.
too.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't necessarily write any love for Xbox, but there is a topic we'll get to a little bit later on where I'll get into a little bit more. So thank you, Lucas, for your viewership. Thank you for listening. We're happy to have you a part of the Scum Bar here. If you have any more things you want to ask us, just let us know, and we'll read it out here on the podcast. So thank you.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for giving us a comment, and I'll see if I can make some room in my love circle for Xbox. It's not something that's ever been on my mind, but there's always room for more.
It is a little strange, actually. I didn't think about it too much, but I've got a bit of a bias for Sony. I would say you've got a bit of a bias for Nintendo, and neither of us have a bias for Xbox. So.
Kinda, yeah.
That being said, I have no hate for Xbox at all. I mean, I worked at EB Games for a long time. I had to sell these things. I don't dislike Xbox in any way, but I do fall into the fanboy train of loving Sony so much. That being said, I've got a lot of critiques for Sony for this go around for PS5 anyways, but let's get into a little segment here, Anth0z, that I like to call Ye Old News.
Ye Old News.
So
into
we're
the news.
We're going to break this up probably by categories. We're going to start off, actually.
Sure.
Let's start off with books, actually, because I've only got one topic here for the book.
Okay. I don't think I have any news for the book, so it's all you.
Perfect. The other day I noticed this and I sent it off to Anth0z because I didn't even know this was a thing. We spend a lot of time talking about Ready Player One on this podcast. I did not realize that, is it Ernest Cline?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ernest Cline has finished creating Ready Player 2, the sequel. Now, keep in mind, I don't know the synopsis to this book at all. I really don't know what it's about. But there is a sequel coming out for Ready Player One, and I noticed it on Audible, of all things, because I saw Will Wheaton has already narrated it.
Oh,
and
perfect.
It's going to come out. So
Great.
I probably won't buy the book. I'll probably just buy the Audible version right away with Will Wheaton.
Okay.
But I'm genuinely excited for this. Like, I really enjoyed the first one, and I do go through it yearly. So I've gone through it, I think, 3 times now. And
wow.
I'm excited to go through Ready Player 2. I'm welcoming it into my life. This is the first time I'm like watching for a book release in a long time. So yeah, so there we go. Ready Player 2 is coming out. Excited. I think it's November. I didn't get the date.
This title releases November 24th.
Yeah. Cool. I'm excited.
So actually, that's 2 months away, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
That's coming up. I'm also definitely looking forward to this one. So Ready Player One. I didn't listen to the Will Wheaton podcast or audiobook version of it. I read through this one, but I have a different feeling of getting through books when I read versus going through the audiobook. I think I can get really lost in the book as I'm reading it, but with an audiobook I kind of have to put a little bit more effort into listening and like paying attention.
Right.
But yeah, I think like you, it's been a long time since I've been waiting for a book release. It used to be, so Harry Potter obviously for me were the big ones.
Me too. Yeah.
And then actually for a time it was Dan Brown for like the Da Vinci Code book, like the Robert Langdon books. Yeah. And then what else was there? I think all the other books kind of had already Hunger Games, like the Divergent series, they were kind of released like I think they were all released by the time I got into it. But yeah, so Ready Player One, really enjoyed that one. So now, yeah, finally looking forward to another book, and I'm should I see? Chapter says there's a special offer.
I think I'm gonna buy them physical eventually, but I'd like to listen to the audiobook first.
Okay.
I'm just so used to that's like my weird like that's how I first got into Ready Player One was with Will Wheaton, so it's a nice like entry point for me. And then now that it's been a little while, it's almost nostalgic, and I just want to go back to that place. So it's gonna be fun.
Cool. Right.
So that's really all I got to say about books. That's it. So let's move into movies. We got quite a bit of stuff here to talk about for movies.
Quite a bit.
In the last, or this is movie/TV, I guess, but in the last 2 weeks, there's just been so much news, and we do our podcast on a 2-week basis, so we're always going to be behind on this news. But I just want to talk about it, right? So, so things that have happened. First thing here, we'll talk about. Anth0z, you want to take away the topic?
Sure. Okay. So the first one, I don't really have much to say about it because I'm really unfamiliar, but we recently got a Dune trailer, and looks pretty cool. So it's with Timothée Chalamet.
Why do I recognize him? What's he from?
He was in the King movie. It was like a Netflix original movie. I think. Yeah,
I saw the trailer, and you mentioned that movie. I remember you talking about it.
And he's in something else that is Shala. Oh, Call Me by Your Name. He was in that. What's something beautiful? Dune. Okay, I know that he was in Little Women. He's Laurie in Little Women.
Yeah, I didn't see that either.
Oh well, okay. He was in Lady Bird.
I didn't see that either.
Okay,
he looks recognizable to me. He's just got a recognizable face, but I don't know him.
He was in Interstellar.
Ooh,
he was.
I know him from that.
Tom at 15 years, I guess. I mean, like looking through his credits list, he's got quite a bit of stuff there. But The King is what I first saw him in, and I think that was a Netflix original. Yeah. And that's the one with Robert Pattinson who plays like the King of France or something.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a decent movie. So yeah. So anyways, with this movie, who else is so Timothée Chalamet?
Is it Aquaman?
Yeah, Jason Momoa. Thanos is in it. Zendaya, so we got Mary Jane. Drax is in it.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Eric. Wait, does he have a last name?
Clapton?
Eric from Thor.
Oh right. Yeah, it's Skarsgård.
So Stellan Skarsgård. I just can't remember what Eric's last name is.
Right, yeah.
And then we've got Poe Dameron. So Javier Bardem. There's a lot of people
playing the father, I think.
Duke Leto Atreides.
So speaking of audiobooks, I went through the audiobook of this Dune, the first book in the Dune series. I went through this, I want to say like a year ago or 2 years ago. Unfortunately, it was really hard to follow, and it's not because the book is quite crazy. Like the themes they tackle in the book is actually pretty intense, but it's because of the audiobook. They had all these actors come in to do the audiobook, and so it kept switching who was talking. And I found it very, very distracting. So there's moments of this trailer where I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. And there's other moments where I'm like, I don't know what's going on at all.
Okay.
When he puts his hand in the box and she's like, pain, and he's just like starts screaming, I remember that because that was a really intense part in the book. I don't remember like the sandworms coming out, and I don't remember like this battle going on. I do remember the training montage a little bit that he's doing, but man, it's very strange. So I'm kind of going into this blind as well, and I'm excited, but I have no idea what I'm excited for. This movie just gets me really excited because it looks good, I guess.
It does kind of look good.
Like the trailer was great. The music was insane in the trailer. It was like that weird song mixed with like this really crazy like orchestral thing going, and that always gets me in trailers when there's nice orchestral music in the background. This really pump up kind of atmosphere. That do 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 boom, and like the font comes in and all that. This summer. Like Star Wars was always really good at that. The latest Star Wars movies were always really good at that with their trailers.
let's see.
I guess the thing is too, there's just a lot of like, I heard that they're not using as much CGI in this film or something, or they're trying to make it as much as like a live action film as they can, and the CGI is either not there or used sparsely. Now what's weird is when I watch the trailer, I feel like there is a lot of CGI in it, but I can't tell. I really can't tell, because the sand looks like it's CGI to me, but maybe it's real sand. I have no idea how they did it.
It's probably a really like a real giant worm too. They just had to, they had
They
a
go find
giant
one
one.
of those giant worms.
Yeah, like I think you can find it like wherever they found one for Beetlejuice and Tremors. Those,
you're right.
They exist.
Let's go
somewhere.
hire one of those ones.
Those are definitely not CGI.
Well, it's because I told my fiance, I was like, I heard a rumor that there's no CGI in this, right? And then we watched that, and I was like, oh, there's definitely CGI in this.
Yeah.
But then I was watching, I was like, well, maybe. I guess somebody might tell me that sandworm was actually a miniature, and it was an animatronic or something.
Yeah, it
right?
could have been an
be.
animatronic, yeah.
And the sand also could be a miniature with explosions.
The sand could also
under
be an animatronic.
it could be. But, like, there's obviously ways they can do it without CGI. It looks CGI to me, so I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, to some extent. And Jason Momoa also, he looked a little bit fatter, and I don't think he's a pretty fit guy, so I bet
that's true.
That chubbiness is probably CGI.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no way that he could his
He can't
body
bulk up.
no way, his body just metabolizes way too fast. He works out too hard.
Yeah.
To
me, this looked like it could be the next Hunger Games. It could flop. Like, don't get me wrong, it definitely could flop. But it looks like it could be the next Hunger Games. It actually reminded me a little bit of the Maze Runner movie.
Yeah.
It had
I was actually
vibes
picturing
of
Maze
one of
Runner,
those.
half Maze Runner and half Waterworld.
Right. My
Kinda.
fiance said something very interesting though. When she saw the trailer, she said this looks too big to be a movie, and I kind of like I laughed at that because I was like, that's such a good statement to where we are now, where the TV shows feel like they're.
I'm good.
Excuse you. Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. What TV shows feel like they're more larger than life than movies are these days. Because like I instantly was like, well, Lord of the Rings was pretty big. She was like, I guess you're right, but still, it was like, I guess when things like Game of Thrones happen, you start to forget that like movies used to be epic before TV shows started taking this whole epic thing. And this Dune movie does feel like that to me. It feels like it's trying to be on par with something like Lord of the Rings. And believe me, I want another movie to be as good as Lord of the Rings. I just haven't seen it yet. So
Yeah, it's hard to say if we ever will get stuff like that, because I find just with movies it's all trend based, right? Like what is in trend, not just about the concept, but the how would like I don't know, like the styles I say is kind of different from the genre, and the core concepts, and like the themes, but I find that like the trends of the styles kind of just changes over time. Like for a while the trend is ghost movies or whatever, and for a while the trend is like zombie movies, but then also for a while, like, because I think if we were to look back at like Oscar nominated or like and Oscar and Emmy movies from like decades ago, like aside from thinking about whether they did ghosts and zombies and stuff like that, I think just the overall, like, what does a romance movie look like back then?
Right.
What does a comedy movie look like back then? Yeah. It's completely different from what romance and comedy would look like now, and same thing with like all action. So I guess maybe just the way that they portray each genre, I find it's very trend based.
One thing working for this though is, since it is an adaptation of a book, it might not fall into the whole trend based kind of stigma, I guess, for a movie these days. So it has potential. Anyways, I don't know. The movie could suck, but I'm hoping for it. I really hope it's good. If theaters were open, I guess they are, but if theater going experiences were normal right now, I would be going to see this in the theater. So
yeah, me too. Yeah.
Okay, next on the list, we've also got Mandalorian Season 2, the trailer. This dropped pretty much right after we recorded our last episode, so we missed it. So Season 2, Mandalorian, I don't think they had much to show, but I don't think they have to either. They pretty much... Probably they could have just been like Mandalorian Season 2, title shot, watch it on this date. They probably could have done that. I'm glad they showed us a bit, but they also clearly have so much story and stuff going on that they don't want to show us anything all that important.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Like I think there's enough that we've seen from the first season that, like, people are probably already hooked.
Yes.
And I think expectations are kind of set whether or not they show us anything in the trailer.
Yeah. I found myself like excited about the lore of Star Wars again, which is really interesting. After watching the last couple movies, I've been kind of like off about it. But in this one, when you've got the one character being like, oh, there was a race of wizards, you know?
Right.
There was a race of wizards called Jedi. And my fiance was like, she's like, shouldn't they know who the Jedi are? And I found myself like recalling events from Return of the Jedi and then the Force Awakens, because it's, I guess, in between those movies, right? I found myself kind of like recalling those events of that and being like, oh, I guess they wouldn't know the Jedi. They're more of a legend at this point. And then I found myself being like, oh my gosh, like if he meets up with Ahsoka, he's now going back to like that old Republic almost kind of style of Jedi. He's going back to like this legendary wizard figures. He's not going back to Luke Skywalker. He's going all the way back, you know?
Yeah.
Somebody who trained with like the legendary Anakin Skywalker. And I was like, so it's funny how the Mandalorian, just a TV show, it gets me so excited for the larger than life universe yet again. So, man, I'm excited. I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. When is that coming out? Did it say October?
Yeah, I think it's October, yeah.
Yeah, October, and it's going to be back to like the weekly releases, but that's okay.
I don't mind. That's fine by me. I'm going to be watching.
Yeah, I'll be watching too. I'm trying to think. Did they... In the trailer, did they show Ahsoka, or was it just... Because I know that I was reading people commenting about it, like, there was
like
a
character that
figure.
kind of looked like it, but it wasn't. It wasn't
Okay.
Ahsoka.
Okay.
No, it was apparently a well-known fighter, a woman fighter, I guess. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Well,
So,
we'll find out
yeah.
eventually.
Why don't you take the next one?
Sure, so on to some more trailers. So the next one is WandaVision. So, okay, first of
Not
all...
to be
like,
confused with One Division.
Yeah. Not just that, but like, so Wanda and Vision as the characters, or when they put the name together for the show, is it supposed to be literally just like, oh, Wanda and Vision? Or is it like, you know, it's kind of like that cliche, like 90s commercials, like, oh, now this show has been featured in Future Vision, or like,
Oh, yeah.
like
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
we have this new color vision aspect ratio, blah blah blah, and it's
Yeah.
like, is it supposed to be that kind of sort of trademarky kind of name, or is it
Like, was it originally going to be called Vision-O-Rama?
well, I just the way that just WandaVision to me, like, just the name of it just kind of makes it sound like it's supposed to be some sort of weird take on like a. It's like, you know, like Stranger Things. They did a really good job of showing off like kind of like an 80s world or 80s vibe kind of stuff.
For sure.
I wonder if like WandaVision is like meant to do that. I had been wondering
Maybe.
this, and then eventually, yeah. So we finally saw the trailer, and a lot of it takes place in like in what
50s.
looks like a TV show. Yeah, that takes place way back when. But I feel like it's kind of just going through different eras.
Yeah, me
And-
too. I thought I got a bit of glimpse of that too, where it seemed like they might go through all the decades.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to know, like, at what point does this take place? Because
Yeah.
Like
is it
we-
after Infinity War or is it pre-Infinity War?
well, okay, so Vision, he didn't have his stone, did he?
I didn't notice. I actually didn't notice.
I don't think he did. So if he didn't, then that means that could mean a lot of things. That could mean like there's some remnant of him that exists somewhere. It could be existing in the Scarlet Witch's head or mind or something,
Yeah.
because I don't think it's necessarily revealed in the MCU, but she's
Oh yeah,
one
maybe
of
it's
the
literally
most powerful.
Wanda's vision.
Yeah, exactly. Could be. Like there's a lot of implications with this, and so
Yeah. I don't know. After I saw the trailer, well, let me. Before watching the trailer, I thought it was a movie. I forgot that it was going to be a TV show. And halfway through the trailer, it was just obvious to me it was a TV show, and I kind of went like, "Oh yeah, it's a TV show." Like I'm not really into it. I'm not really excited to watch a TV show in the Marvel universe all that much. And so I wasn't really all that excited. And we went through the whole trailer, and it just seemed weird. I didn't know how else to really put it, but it just felt weird to me. So
yeah.
honestly, when it finished, I'm not that interested. But as my fiance puts it, we'll watch episode 1. We'll watch episode 1, and we'll see how it goes. Now, the only way I think I could be convinced that I'll watch this show is if it goes in the horror direction. It almost seems like it's a horror. Like in the trailer there, it gets a little bit creepy for a second. But then it kind of like pulls out of that again. And I'm not sure if they're going to only do like a mild bit of creepy or if they're going to go full on into like a horror. But if they do, that would be fun. Like I would love to see something actually like terrifying in the Marvel universe. So
Actually, yeah, I think that makes sense. And if anybody like having these characters, like knowing knowing Wanda has the powers that she does, I think kind of putting more thriller suspense aspect to this would make sense. And I'm just checking back with the video, so he does have the Mind Stone attached to his head sometimes, but then also I guess when he's in his human form, it's not shown whether or not it's
he's
there or
Paul
not. But
Bettany without the Vision Stone.
yeah. So yeah, it's just so interesting. This show has a lot of implications. I'm curious to know like what other characters they're going to introduce in this show. So, and I haven't really looked into it, but there's a.
It'd be funny if they invite Captain America over for dinner or something.
Which is totally possible.
It could happen.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd say I'm still looking forward to it. I'm definitely curious just to know like what the heck is going on, but I think it's just because of the way that the trailer has gone live, and yeah, but it's Marvel, so can't be all that bad.
Yep. Our next bit of news here, very small, but it looks like Sylvester Stallone is getting in the director's chair, or director's cutting room chair, I guess. He's recutting the movie of Rocky IV and making his own director's cut of it.
Ooh,
So Rocky IV is a great film, but it also, like Rocky IV, the secret thing that the fans won't ever tell you is that there are moments of Rocky IV that make it kind of bad. And one of them is Paulie's robot. He's got a robot in that film, and it's kind of just a stupid joke. We all just kind of laugh about it, but none of us really want to see the robot, but it just is there.
Yeah. Like, how is this movie so futuristic? Like, what is going on, right?
Yeah, it's very strange. Anyways, apparently Sylvester Stallone has cut out the robot, so it's not in there.
Oh, interesting.
And there's been some added scenes, apparently, that weren't in the original cut. It's a little bit longer, and it's just his own new cut of Rocky IV, the way that he sees it, a little bit better. So cool. I'm excited for this. I think it's coming out in November, if he gave a date. I'm not sure. But he's been tweeting that he's been they're editing the film recently. So I'm really excited to see this. So any Rocky fans will love to see this new version of it.
Okay, cool. I've never actually watched director's cut, so I'd be interested to see.
I've only seen Riddick's director's cut once. Oh, and Troy had a director's cut as well.
Were they like far different from the originals?
Sometimes they're entirely different. Sometimes they're really similar. Like Riddick's was cut a little bit differently in some of the action scenes, and it had different music. But nothing that crazy. Oh, Gladiator. Okay. I saw the director's cut to that as well.
Oh,
and that had more scenes in it. It's like an extended cut almost.
Ah, cool. Okay, maybe I should try to look into that one day.
Yeah.
Anyway, so while we're talking about big buff burly guys, so I don't know if you saw this one, but The Rock. So he was. So right now he's filming for Black Adam.
Oh yeah.
And so he was about to leave his home, but I think the battery in his gate, like he's got an automatic gate that opens and closes to get his car out.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, it wasn't opening. Whether there was like a fault in the wiring or battery died or whatever, gate wouldn't open. So he, I think he called whatever like crew that he would need to come and like get it open. But I think it would have taken him too long, and people were already waiting on set for him to get there to film. So he grabbed the gate, he pushed and pulled and ripped it off.
No way.
Himself, and chucked it on the lawn.
Oh my gosh.
And left to go film.
Wow.
And so I think can't remember what the article is. Let me just quickly see what it says. But
Rock
eventually
breaks his own gate.
So Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Oh wait, let me get rid of these ads. Rips down his own security gate with bare hands. And then I think it says that whatever crew that came to like fix it or like put it back, they were kind of like. They're obviously surprised, but also like terrified that this person can just like do this.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Can you smell what the Rock is cooking?
So yeah, he's those muscles are not just for show; they are fully functional. So
that's insane.
Don't get on his bad side. I think that's
also that's dedication to get to work. Can't get out of the gate? No problem. Break down the gate.
I think he takes his acting career very seriously.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of cool.
Cool.
Let's see. I have a couple other things I want to mention before we move on to yours because I feel like yours will. Because yours might kind of relate to like what.
We're still in movies, TV show.
After.
Yep.
So there's a little update for the Black Panther because now that Chadwick Boseman has passed away, Black Panther 2 I think is still slated to be as part of the MCU. That they have found a replacement, and that is Letitia Wright. So who acts as Shuri? That's Black Panther's sister in the movie, younger sister. She's the tech person.
Yeah.
So people are speculating that
she'll take on the mantle.
Well, they're speculating about the specific story arc. That there's a Black Panther arc where Shuri, I guess she's already kind of taken up some form of Black Panther mantle, and she's on some sort of search to find Black Panther because I guess the Black Panther is missing or whatever, and then she ends up finding his lifeless body. So that's why people are kind of speculating like this might be a way to kind of include that arc, because if she's going to be the one that's replacing Chadwick Boseman, that this might be kind of more of like an appropriate way to write Chadwick Boseman's portrayal out.
Right.
And
that makes sense.
And put Letitia's in. So I like this move, not just because there potentially could be an arc that is appropriate, but also because I think we mentioned this before, that, finding anybody to replace somebody like Chadwick Boseman, or just finding any actor to replace like a main character for a movie, it's going to be very jarring for the movie itself. Like with something like how Don Cheadle replaced Terrence Howard.
Yeah, that was already jarring enough.
It was jarring enough, and he wasn't even the main character, right? So,
exactly, yeah.
So I think with this, I think that's a good move. I like how they kind of basically went like internal, like how can we make this work without looking like we're just kind of moving on from Chadwick. This seems,
and I can also
like,
see it now where they have a really nice homage to his death with like a CGI body that they've got going, and like her seeing him, and like this way they'll be able to kind of present it the way they want to present it.
Yeah.
So I agree with that, and I don't think it's like, as much as I like really I don't remember liking Shuri's character all that much, and I did always wonder if she was going to be put into being the Black Panther at some point. You kind of wonder, a lot of the superheroes almost had a female counterpart that they were thinking may take on the mantle at some point.
Yeah.
And she was definitely seeming like she was going to at that point too. So I'm not really all that upset by it, because it almost seems that could have happened. I do kind of wish there was almost an alternate universe where Michael B. Jordan could have been a character that took up the mantle. I think that would have been interesting, because I liked his character. But still, it doesn't really matter too much. I don't think I'll actually end up seeing the next Black Panther when it comes out anyways, because I think I'm kind of done with the newer Marvel stuff, but we'll see when we get there. I think the 22 films or whatever is enough for me, so the only one I'll probably continue on with is probably Spider-Man, because I've got an invested interest in Spider-Man. So
okay, that's fair. So I'm just going to mention a couple things quickly. So the next one is, have you seen that there's an Animaniacs reboot?
The Animaniacs. No, I haven't.
So they have a teaser out right now, and it kind of has like clips of like the original Animaniacs with, I think, kind of like half finished sketches of the upcoming one. And they brought back all of the original voice actors.
No way.
So I think that's really cool. Like I feel like that's
insane.
That's really, I was gonna say that's really important. It's not necessarily important for everybody, but I find like I think that's a great way to do a reboot. Like, because in that way, you're getting the people who already have kind of they've got a connection with the characters, so they know how to portray them. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about this being like a completely different, like a different version of a reboot that is meant for today's kids. Yes. As opposed to being able to bring on the previous kids that watched it who are now adults. Yep. That might still be interested, because that they're able to kind of carry forth with their nostalgic take on it. So so that'll be interesting. I can't remember when that's going to be coming, maybe 2021 or something, but yeah, there's a teaser out now.
Yeah, I just scrubbed through the teaser there. That looks really, really cool. God, I love hearing their voices too. Very unique.
Very unique. And then I think that also means that they're going to be bringing back Pinky and the Brain. It seems like anyway.
I love Pinky and the Brain.
Yeah. And then last thing, a bit of my news before I let you take over. But Will Smith has listed the Bel Air mansion on Airbnb, so you can now. Well, I tried looking up dates that's available. I couldn't find anything.
How does Will Smith make his way into every one of our episodes? Somehow he's always there. It's
used to be Friends, now it's Will Smith. Eventually, it's everything's trend. It's trend related.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know how much it is, but it's probably like several thousand a night. But it looks like based on the parameters, you can only book like a 2-person stay. So I think because they don't want you to like have a party and trash the whole place, I guess. I don't know. Sense, yeah. That's my guess, but yeah. So
it's a huge mansion though for 2 people.
Yeah, I think so. He kind of like curated the post, so it says like, oh, this is my room where I would do blah blah blah, and here's the bathroom where I would do like fly swimming. Here's the living room where I would do some sweet TV watching. I don't know, like stuff like that. So I think it's just meant to be like as if you're kind of in the eyes of him. You're not necessarily using the whole house. I don't really know, but
weird. Okay.
Maybe you are. I don't know.
All right. Mm-hmm. That might spawn off a whole new thing of like sets being rented out to fans.
Oh, that's a good point.
Here's the Millennium Falcon for the weekend for $2,000.
Ooh, yeah. Here's the Overlook Hotel from The Shining.
Oh yeah, imagine that. That's actually that spawns off a really cool, unique thing. I wonder if that would ever happen.
Speaking of, I just finished reading the book.
Oh, nice, good
The
for
Shining.
you.
So
you got it out of the freezer, and
yeah, I did. So I'm looking forward to watching the movie finally.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. Oh man, I kind of want to watch it as well, just knowing that you're about to watch it.
Anyway, on to I'll let you take over the news.
Okay. So real quick here, I don't want to dwell too much time on Xbox because we hate Xbox over here.
No love for Xbox.
First things first, let's get out of the way. Xbox has released its pricing for its next generation consoles. There is the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X. The Series S is the smaller one. It kind of looks like a speaker. And it's going to be priced at $299, which is really crazy. That's a very cheap console price in the days that we live in right now. I can't believe that. So you can definitely get a jump start onto your next generation experience by only spending $300, which is very generous. Yeah, that is US pricing.
That's US. So for Canadian pricing, it would be $379.99, and this one is the 512 gigabyte version.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now there is actually a hardware difference between the Xbox Series S and Series X. Oh, and the Series X, by the way, is $499 US. But there is a hardware difference between the two. Now they say all Series X games are going to work on Series S, but I do argue, as a developer, that it's going to be very constraining for developers on first-party Xbox games to have to make something that's also optimized for a smaller platform. I mean, you did mobile development with me, but trying to optimize on different phone screens was already one thing, right?
Yeah.
Now just imagine a power difference. So your loading screens, how many objects are in the room at once, how many projectiles are firing. All these things have to be calculated to how much power and processing power the console has. I don't think it's a good idea to have your console split with two different power levels. Now, it's mostly in the graphics compartment, so maybe they're just going to scale it down graphics-wise. So for anybody out there, the CPU is similar in the Series S and Series X, but the GPU is where all the difference is. So the GPU is way more in the Series X. And actually, the GPU is why the Series S looks like a speaker as well, is because it overheats so much. So that speaker is to make sure that the heating ventilation gets out of it. And same with the Series... Yeah, and same with the Series X as well. It's got so much GPU inside that thing. I can't remember off the top of my head what it actually is inside there, but it's very, very powerful. But it overheats like crazy. So the Series X is built specifically. It looks like a giant fridge. It's built specifically to then distribute the heat better, so it doesn't overheat as a console.
It's funny how this year it just seems like everybody just kind of threw out typical console shapes out the window.
Oh, I know.
Hey, let's just make sure that the parts work and just build a thing around it.
It's so funny looking, but at the same time, I don't disparage it. My favorite console shape is the PlayStation 2. It was just a rectangle. It really was no more than a rectangle, and I loved it. It was very nice. It was easy to carry. I loved it. It was great.
It's kind of like a rectangle on top of a smaller rectangle. At least, I guess there were two different versions of the PS2, but the one that I had was...
You're right. Yeah. It was on a smaller one, yeah. But it was pretty blocky. And the PlayStation 3 was bizarre compared to the PS2. So I don't like these consoles going into weird shapes like this. I do just like the regular rectangle boxes. But so it is kind of nice to see the Series X just become a nice little Wi-Fi looking box. Or a router. My router actually looks quite similar to this thing. But then speaking of routers, the PlayStation design actually looks like the crazy antenna Wi-Fi boxes that you get these days.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's on the Xbox news, and more on Xbox news before I get into PlayStation here. The Microsoft family just recently bought Bethesda Studios. This actually just happened the other day. It was pretty crazy news.
Wow.
There is a lot to pack into this, and a lot of information is not out yet. So all we know at brass tacks is that Microsoft owns Bethesda. Now, there's a lot of people jumping ship already and saying that this means that all Bethesda games are not going to be on PlayStation. But there's way more to it than that. The actual developers underneath the Bethesda category, which would be things like Obsidian is one of them. id Software, who makes Doom, is another. These companies, I still believe, are allowed to distribute their games the way they want to, and Microsoft's going to just receive the money from this as well. So yes, I think Doom 3 inevitably will be on PlayStation 5 as well as Xbox X. Series X. And then Microsoft just also gets the profits, technically, because it's their studio doing this.
Wow.
So I think that's how it's going. And Minecraft is a pretty good example of that, how Minecraft is still pretty much on everything, and Microsoft owns it. So.
Wait, so does that mean, like, okay, so even if Minecraft is like, if you were to get it on PC,
Yep.
so Microsoft is still actually wait, that makes sense. Yeah, PC. Where would it not make sense? Minecraft on
Switch.
Nintendo Switch then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Microsoft is still getting some sort of cut from that.
Yes.
From the purchase of
I don't actually
Wow.
think when you buy your Switch version of it, Microsoft gets any money out of that, but I believe it's more the fact that the studio is still making money because, sorry, like Mojang is still making money because you bought the Switch version, so therefore Microsoft is still making money off of Mojang, you know?
I
So
see.
like it's still in the working. So like good for them for buying Bethesda. It's a huge move here, and it's gonna be really good for them to make some exclusives on their console that I think some Sony fanboys are really gonna want. I don't think though this means the next Elder Scrolls, for example, will only be on Xbox One or sorry, Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling Bethesda is really going to want to be able to put it on as many consoles as possible to sell as many as possible.
Yeah.
And Microsoft's probably not going to stand in the way of profits either.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all speculation at this point, so we don't know. What I do hope for, though, is that Doom and Halo have some kind of like fun crossover. Halo is a space combat game that really derived from the Doom Marine. So the Doom Marine is the original Master Chief by all means. And it's interesting to see how similar they look. And it would be interesting to kind of integrate them in funny ways. No, I don't want to see like a crossover game. But I think Doom does a lot where it crosses other games into it as jokes. Where you'll see like Commander Keen in a cave who's like hung up and dead. But his blaster is still there and you can see it. Or they got the Dope Fish from the Commander Keen series as well. Just has this funny fish you can find as like an Easter egg. I think it'll be really funny to see like the Master Chief helmet somewhere in hell or something. Like it would just be really funny to see it on a shelf or something like that. So
Yeah.
I would love that.
That's kind of cool. I wouldn't mind seeing some sort of mod. So I didn't really play much of either one.
yeah.
But with at least with Halo, like I can picture, you can get into those little Jeep thingies.
The
or
Warthogs, yeah.
Those Warthogs. So I'm just picturing like maybe one of the mods would be like, what's that like floating eye thing in Doom? There's like a floating eye with
Oh,
a
the
mouth.
Cacodemon.
Sure, that.
Yeah.
Like I'm just picturing like that just gets on the back of a dune buggy.
Oh,
And
that would
that's
be
just
awesome.
part of the mod, I guess. I don't know.
I would love that.
Could
The
be
Imps
fun.
would be driving, and Cacodemon would be on the back
yeah,
of the gun.
yeah. And sorry, just to recap just about the Xbox Series X. So yeah, Canadian price is going to be $599, and then it's going to launch November 10th. So that's actually coming up pretty soon. So I wonder if like with that date coming up, if Microsoft and Bethesda they're going to kind of want to finish parts of their acquisition before the full launch in case they want. There's some way that they can kind of like. Kind of jump on the launch, but I feel like that's not a lot of time.
It does seem really reactionary, although these things all happen behind closed doors, and they usually take months before these kind of things happen. So I do think the timing's just kind of perfect for them.
Yeah.
But it's funny because Microsoft got its price revealed kind of by accident and then rolled with it, and then Sony took advantage of that. And obviously, I guess we should announce here that this is our topic. It's your topic, but we're kind of just
it's
kind of
our
melding.
topic. It's Sony's topic, really.
We're just melding into it, and it's the PlayStation 5 we want to talk about. So I apologize if this episode goes a little bit longer, but we just want to talk about some of the PS5 things here. There's two different versions for the PlayStation 5 as well. We've got a discless version, which is really hard to say discless for me and not accidentally say something else.
I mean, you could say the other word to be fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm going to try not to. So there's the PlayStation 5 discless version and the PlayStation 5 console itself. Do you remember what you guessed those prices were going to be?
What did I say? I think I said the digital version would be $399, and then the disc version would be $499.
Right.
I think.
So you're actually correct.
In US dollars, I'm correct, but
yeah, in US dollars you're correct, not in Canadian. You're right.
In Canadian, I'm way off, and that
I was way off as well.
Oh,
I guess $6.99. I thought it was gonna be much more expensive. I said $6.99, and I also said it was gonna be the same price for both SKUs. It was just gonna be different hard drive sizes, but I was way off on that. Hard drive size I actually believe is the same in both of them at a terabyte, or is it a terabyte and 2 terabytes actually?
Oh, I can't remember
I believe actually I think it's a terabyte and 2 terabytes.
Okay.
For the respectively for the console with the disc tray. So yeah, it's $399 and then $499, which again is a very competitive price. I think it's actually really, really smart. From all accounts, the PlayStation 5, both versions are the same console on the inside.
Yeah.
So you're not worrying about specs as much, and you can get in on the ground floor at $399, only $100 more US at least for the Xbox Series S, which I have a feeling is going to suffer in the long run. So I really think this is very competitive pricing here, and I do think it's going to get a lot of people. So,
I'm very I'm already concerned about like the stock that's going to be available in the next like coming years for the PlayStation, and but I guess we'll see what happens. So the PS5 showcase that we're going to be referencing, this took place sometime, was it last week? Maybe Wednesday the 16th or something. I can't remember. Sometime last
it was last week. Yeah.
So a week ago, and then pre-orders already went up on Saturday, I think, on the 19th, for the PS5, and so retailers, at least in Canada, there was Amazon, Walmart, EB Games, Best Buy, and Shoppers Drug Mart. Oh, and London Drugs. So 6 retailers, and all of them sold out within minutes. I think I read that some of them, like within 15 minutes, were gone. The Shoppers Drug Mart website was down for like 3 hours, and by the time it was back up, then everything was sold out.
Wow.
And then Sony actually tweeted shortly afterwards that kind of just acknowledging, like, okay, yeah, that was a bit of a gong show, but we're gonna get some more pre-orders coming your way for the next foreseeable future, basically. So they said to look out for other news or emails coming from the retailers, but I don't know if that's any indication of the popularity of PlayStation and how much it's gonna, like, the sales that are gonna go for it. Like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. So if you're intending to get one, I recommend really trying to get a pre-order, because otherwise there's a very slim chance you'll be able to buy it in store, like as a walk-in. You can go to Costco, but there'll probably be lineups for it.
We actually didn't mention it either yet, but the it's a very competitive release date as well. It's a week after the Xbox One or Xbox Series X. I keep doing that. Xbox Series X. So you can either buy the Xbox Series S or X, or wait 1 week and get the PlayStation 5. So that's unfortunately going to be a big thing for a lot of people. They're going to go, do I stand in line for this, or do I just wait for the PS5? And
actually, you know what? No, it's 2 days after, because the Xbox is coming out on November. I see.
Sorry, you go ahead. I think you might be right. Actually, I think I got this wrong.
Yeah, so November 10th is what I'm seeing for the Xbox release.
Yes, you're right. It's on a Thursday. Yes,
and then
it's
November,
a Thursday, which is really unheard of for Sony. I forgot about that. Yeah,
it's an odd day. And then November 12th is when it'll be available to North America and like select countries, and then November 19th for the rest of the world. So that is very interesting, and I wonder if they had decided that date after they realized at some point when the Sony, like, maybe they kind of had leaked information when the Sony would be releasing the PlayStation, because I can't imagine that they would purposely want to release on a Thursday of all days. Like, you couldn't do, even if we didn't have COVID, like, you couldn't do a midnight launch on a Thursday. Like,
I know, it's weird.
That's kind of very odd. So they must have done that thinking like, oh, let's try to get some sales out before the PS5 rolls out or something.
Oh my
maybe.
Gosh. You know what this means, though? If there are people lining up early, like really early, there may be people lining up. And I don't even know if people do that anymore, man. I feel like that's such an old thing.
I think people still line up, yeah.
Okay, like, but remember the PS3? Like, the lineups were huge. It'd be like 3-day or week-long lineups. Anyways, if the people are lining up for the PlayStation 5, they may be overlapping the Xbox Series X sales. You know? Like, people will be lined up for the PlayStation 5 while people are walking in to buy an Xbox One S. Or Xbox Series S.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But that's just like, that sends a message almost in a weird way. You've got this huge lineup for PlayStation while people are trying to go and buy their next-gen console, right? And then they're like, well, what is this lineup for? Oh, it's for the next-gen console. Like, it's almost like a bit of like a slap in the face. That's pretty crazy.
It's, what's that called? Like, it's like community advertising or something? I can't remember what community marketing.
In a way, yeah, you're right, for sure.
Yeah.
You got all these people waiting there, so... Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. I guess I should also say this. I won't be buying one right away, so I don't even know if I'm going to be buying one. I don't really have much of a use for a PlayStation 5 at this moment. But let's get into the real reason why people do buy them. Let's get to the games.
Sure. Let's do it. So, I mean, basically what we'll be talking about in this episode is the what was kind of revealed in the latest showcase. So this isn't the first one. They had one maybe a month ago or so, which... You
can see that in our old episode as well. And I've noticed a few people have been watching it, so I think they've been watching it thinking that was the reveal one. But that was more like, sorry, that was the reveal, but not the price reveal. So
yeah, so this revealed a little bit more. It also revealed some gameplay, some other games that weren't revealed before, and I guess that's pretty much it. Also, reveal for what will be available for the PlayStation Plus collection.
Yes,
which is kind of cool.
That's an interesting part.
Yeah, so I guess if we start off right from the top, The first thing that they showed in the showcase was the reveal for Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
So to me, it looked really good. I haven't been able to follow all of the franchise, but slowly kind of working my way through it. And so there was a little note for this one: PlayStation console exclusive, but then also available on PC. So
right.
That confuses me.
I also believe it's a timely exclusive. I don't know, but I feel like it's probably timely. There was another one that was timely exclusive as well, but I can't remember it. But anyways, this one looks nice because it kind of goes away from the futuristic aesthetics, and it goes more into like the medieval fantasy again,
yeah, medieval,
like the old school.
Exactly.
It feels like Final Fantasy 9 to me. It's kind of going back to that style, and I really like that. So it's getting out of this. Honestly, it's kind of getting out of the Final Fantasy 7 style, which is fine by me too. So
yeah, no, but I like that kind of medieval aspect to it too. I think when I don't know, something about the characters and the gameplay in that setting, to me, just something about it is more appealing when it's medieval.
Me too.
I don't really know why. Maybe the futuristic stuff for me, I feel like that's meant to be left for like other kinds of like characters or gameplay.
Now, don't get me wrong, I like Final Fantasy 15. It's a weird, strange genre, but it's good. It's still good.
Yeah.
But I'm excited though for something to go more into a Lord of the Rings-esque territory.
Yeah. And then next up we had Spider-Man Miles Morales. So we got some gameplay for this one and a little bit more background on the characters that are going to be a part of it.
We kind of got Spider-Man Last of Us with that gameplay demo. It was kind of like, it looked so much like watching an Uncharted game or a Last of Us game when they're just walking around the bartering things or whatever, the little shops that were around there, and they're walking. There's the dialogue, and
I see.
Like, it just, every game is starting to kind of look the same on PlayStation. Now, it's not that much of a critique. It's not like a bad thing. I do like Uncharted and Last of Us, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, so this is that section where you walk around and the characters explain the story a little bit. And then we get to the action sequence.
Yeah.
But I also gotta say, I don't know what it is, and I'm not trying to be too harsh on this, but the graphics, they're not bad. I'm definitely not saying graphics are bad, but they don't look different than the Spider-Man game to me already. Like, Spider-Man game looked incredible.
Yeah.
So if this was Miles Morales Spider-Man on PS5, which it was apparently, I think you need to do a little bit more than just say that. I think you need to show it, because to me it's not obvious. So I feel like you need to show a side-by-side at some points and go, this is the game running on PS4, and this is the game running on PS5, like at a few moments. And I think this is also an easy game to do that, since it's also on PS4.
Yeah.
So I think they really could have shown an easy side-by-side just for a few seconds to show people, this is ray tracing, this is 4K, this is the difference, you know?
Ray tracing? It has ray tracing!
But since they didn't show any of that, I don't know. I was watching it after a while and I was like, what's the difference? Why would you need to buy a PS5 to play this game?
Yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, with these games, I mean, a lot of the animation, like the CGI, or like the gameplay, the mechanics of it look very similar to the first Spider-Man,
which was a good game.
Which was a great game, yeah. And this one, so I can't remember who is the one that was talking, but one of the guys from Insomniac Games was saying that this one takes place a year after the previous Spider-Man. So I wonder what that's going to mean for the Peter Parker that existed in that. Like, if this is going to be in same universe or different universe, but still takes place a year after. Like, yeah, still things we haven't had revealed to us about that. At least not that I know of. But I'm looking forward to it either way. I think watching his I think like you can kind of like get on top of like new combos and new gameplay only because like the way that his suit works looks like it's a bit different from the previous ones.
Right.
It's almost like got this like Black Panther vibe where it like kind of soaks in energy and is able to expand it, sort of thing.
For sure.
I mean, you have all these other suit customizations from the previous one, but this one looks almost more like inherent as opposed to having to work your way towards it.
Right.
So, yeah. So we'll see what that has in store, and that is going to be coming holiday 2020. So shortly after the launch, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and it's going to be a console seller for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Next one I've got written down was okay. So I didn't think I would ever be a fan of Harry Potter type games, but Hogwarts Legacy, something about this just looks really cool.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I'm very, very interested to see more of this game, and I would love to play it.
I've been asking for this game since like Harry Potter Half-Blood Prince on PlayStation 3, which I thought was a good game. And I know it was getting to a point where these Harry Potter games were just being made every single year, and people are kind of like sick of them. But I still loved the Harry Potter games. I played them all. I just really had a lot of fun with them. And then the Harry Potter, the last one there, Deathly Hallows, the video game, Part 1, Part 2, I did not like it. It was weird. They changed the formula up. And obviously the castle's not there, so it's just not as fun. But this one here, this Harry Potter Legacy, I don't know what genre of game this is. And that's my only critique here. Is this could be... I haven't looked into it more, so I don't know if they've said anything. But based on the trailer alone, this could be a multiplayer MMO. Or this could be a single-player only experience, or it could be like a... I don't know, it could be many different things. You might not play as one character, you might play as multiple characters. I have no idea. What I want it to be is just like the old Harry Potter games. And if it is that, then I'm very excited for it. And honestly, after talking to my fiance, she actually was the one who said that we might buy this. And I was like, wow, maybe we will. So like,
you're just going to buy the game, but you're not going to buy the PS5?
Well, it might have, I might have to buy the PS5 if this game is actually what it is in my head. But I have no idea, because unfortunately the trailer doesn't tell you any of that.
Yeah.
But the thing that gets me the most in this trailer, and I'm sure it was for you as well, is the music. The music in this trailer, I don't even care what happens to this game. I'm so glad the music exists, and I'm going to listen to it on YouTube like crazy, because it was the Harry Potter theme mixed with like medieval battle sounds and stuff. It was so cool. Like, I've never heard it better than it was. It was Lord of the Rings meets Harry Potter, and I was just so happy.
Yeah, no, I agree. And as much as I do like watching, like following the Harry Potter franchise, I like the fact that this one doesn't follow characters that we already know. Yeah,
it almost can't. Like, it's before Voldemort, so
1800s. So
the only thing that they could really try to tie it into is Salazar Slytherin. But even at that, there's not much they can do, I think. So
yeah,
which is great.
So I think because of that kind of like anonymity aspect, there's just more kind of like surprises waiting. I feel it that way, so I'm kind of intrigued to play this one a bit more. So yeah, and that's going to be coming 2021. So a little bit more of a wait for that one, but hopefully worth the wait. Yeah, and then
I can wait. Just make a good game.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, if they can make it something good, then it's totally worth the wait, right?
For sure.
So yeah. Next one I've got.
Hold on. There's the Miyamoto quote is nobody remembers a game that got delayed and ended up being good, but everybody remembers a bad game.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like I don't recall
nobody's mad about. I should say nobody's mad about a game that got delayed and ended up being good.
Yeah.
But everybody hates a bad game.
I'm pretty sure Final Fantasy 15 was delayed, but like.
Oh yeah, so many times, and then it's still sold like insane. So
yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 has also been delayed a couple times now, but it seems like there's still so much hype around it. Like people they're gonna wait because they want to.
But then there was Daikatana and Duke Nukem and all these other games that just kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed, and eventually they just flopped. Sorry.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm not gonna go through every single game here, but I'll just mention maybe some that were.
I don't think I saw all the trailers anyway, so.
Okay. Well, there was Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, which.
Oh yeah, I did not see that.
Okay, so the campaign, like they just showed some clips for the campaign, which looked kind of cool.
I heard it's Raven actually that did the single player.
It's Raven Software.
Yeah, and that's
Raven
really
Software.
Awesome. I'm so happy for them to actually get the single player campaign out there because they haven't been able to work on a single player campaign for a long time in the Call of Duty franchise.
So what is Raven Software known for though?
They did the one. They've worked on Call of Duty before in the past, but they haven't been able to make their storyline because I believe they had to do the multiplayer for the last little while here for Activision. So they keep working on the multiplayer and not getting to make storyline games. But I don't remember what the last one was for their storyline, but I know they're good for storyline. And yeah, it was a shame that they weren't able to work on it, but now they get to again. So
okay. So yeah, I don't normally follow that franchise either, but looks like a shooter. Looks like a decently made shooter. So yeah, holiday 2020 for that one.
I should like it. I like shooters, but I'm just not into Call of Duty anymore. I just kind of fell out of it. I bet you if I played the campaign, though, I'd probably enjoy it.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to get into it before you realize how much you kind of miss playing it, right?
For sure.
Resident Evil 8 Village.
Oh, I heard this is really good looking, but I didn't see the trailer. I heard it's a lot like Resident Evil 4?
I'm not sure about that because I didn't follow this franchise, but the trailer stuff just looked pretty creepy. Looked good. That one's coming 2021, so I can't really say too much about that because I was never really into that franchise. I think I was just never really into like horror video games.
Oh, you're missing out, man. There's so many good ones.
I'm sure there are, but like I'm just more into like rather than like kind of waiting and going through like suspenseful stuff. I just like the kind of go stuff. So like,
that's true.
You know, like I play like Counter-Strike.
I can definitely respect that.
Yeah, that's just my style or my genre. They showed a little bit more of Deathloop.
I saw that trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, not too much more than what we already know. But it also makes me kind of confused because, like, it's almost like they spoiled a lot of the game.
I felt like that too, but I actually the trailer kind of turned me off. It made me really like the art style.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me really like the concept of like an island where you're going around and like you've got one day to do all these things. It felt kind of like Hitman or something. It was very like an assassin kind of game.
Yeah.
But the gameplay really turned me off. And I know this sounds weird, but we were just watching the way he was killing people and the way he was running. It felt so not fluid. It was like janky.
Yeah.
It was really jerky, I guess, you know. And I was really turned off by it. It felt like playing something like Fallout and less like playing something like Doom. And after playing a lot of Doom, you know, it's a great first-person shooter, and it puts a lot to the test, I guess. And this game just really felt like it was failing at that, which is a shame because the art style is so great and the concept is pretty cool.
The concept was really cool. Yeah.
But I honestly think I'm turned off now. I don't think I'll even check it out unless it turns out to be like amazing. But yeah.
Right. Well, we won't know until it comes out, but I know what you mean that because watching that, he goes through a couple different motions of like going down a hill, taking out one person, and then like having to like teleport to somewhere like on top of a bridge or something, and it's almost like he's going, okay, let me turn around my belt, and now I got my guns. Okay, let me turn my belt around back, and now I've got all my like extra abilities or something like that. It's just kind of like it's so back and forth. It doesn't feel like it's all in one fluid kind of mechanic. So yeah, I definitely know what you mean.
Before we actually go too far ahead, I also just want to make a brief note here because a lot of people are mad about this. It's making waves on Twitter, and I guess we just don't know the answer yet at this moment. And they'll probably answer this before this episode even goes up, but we'll say it now. The PlayStation 5 exclusives seem to also be PS4 exclusives for certain titles, as we mentioned with Miles Morales, and they also mentioned Horizon. Strangely enough, is going to be the Horizon sequel is also going to be on PS4, which seemed really weird to me because it seemed like it was going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive, like the console buyer, you know. But if it's also on PS4, then that game's not even coming out till like next year, which means that, I mean, it's normal that Sony's going to keep games pumping out for their older console. They've been doing this since PS2 as well. But it's just strange to me that like the last PS4 game might be Horizon 2, which I was under the impression that was going to be a PS5 exclusive. And it makes me wonder what else is going to be a PS4 game as well, and what is only on PS5, I guess. And I don't know. It does create this thing. So I just wanted to mention that. I just want to get it out there that we mentioned that now. We don't know exactly which games are PS5 exclusive. I think it's pretty clear that Ratchet and Clank is, but other games we're just not sure at this moment. And I don't know if it's going to be on both consoles or if it's only for the next one. So.
Yeah. Time will tell, or Sony will tell. Eventually, we will find out. But yeah, like we just have so little information at this point that yeah. Let's see what else. So Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's cool.
I thought I wrote this note. I called it Devil May Cry 5 Keep Crying. I thought like, oh, did they actually call it? But like, no, that was just my own note. So available digitally at launch. We had some a little bit more in-depth look at, actually not that much more in-depth, but more look at the Oddworld, like the Abe's Odyssey kind of franchise game, Oddworld Soulstorm.
I have a lot of respect for Oddworld, but I don't like the games. Like that creator's been making those games forever, and I totally respect him for it. It's the same with like those Worms games. I respect that they're still going, but I just don't play them. So
you know, I used to love playing Worms as a kid. Like my friends and I, we would get together at one of our friends' place like before we walked to school in the morning.
Right.
So we'd and it'd almost be like a race every day to see who would get there first to get it on the good computer. Because my friend and his brother was pretty nerdy. He set up like one of the rooms to be pretty much like a LAN room. So they had several computers like set up there, and so we would kind of like get in there and like take turns playing. And yeah, we'd always play
awesome.
Worms. Oh, I love
that.
That would
have been fun. That's how you're supposed to play Worms.
Yeah. What else? Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach.
Yeah.
So this one, I don't know what to think about it. Like there wasn't really gameplay, and I don't know what kind of game it's going to be, but it looks like you're in some sort of like a store, like a retail store, but you're stuck. And there's something in there that's trying to kill you, I guess.
Like every Five Nights at Freddy's game.
Oh, is this already like a pre... I'd never heard of this franchise.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's huge, man. Oh, I guess if you don't play horror games, then I guess it's not really well known. Sorry, I guess that makes sense. But it's a really popular franchise. I think there's like 7 games now in the series.
Oh, okay.
It's made by one dude, Scott Cawthorn, I believe.
Okay.
No. And there's so much lore to it now. There's been a couple books, and there's actually a movie deal that's been signed as well. So
that came after the game?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was huge, like years ago, I guess, but it was huge, and it's still not that far off from being huge. It's just that there hasn't been that many titles released, but he was releasing them like every 9 months or so. So there was like the first 5 games were done pretty quickly, and they're just jump scare games. You normally are just some clerk behind a till at the Five Nights at Fazbear Freddy's kind of like restaurant, and you're watching a bunch of television screens, security cameras, and the robots come to life and they start running down the halls and stuff, and the security cameras, and you have to make sure you watch them so that they don't get to you. And if they get to you, they jump scare at you, and that's the end. So it's like a jump scare game like crazy, and so people are trying not to jump scare. And then it got famous because YouTubers kept playing this game and doing jump scares as they're doing it, and yada yada yada. Anyways, the PlayStation version, that's probably what it's going to be, is just those. Now, I can't tell if it's a remake of one of the older games or if it's a new game entirely, but we'll find out more soon enough, I'm sure.
So the premise of the games is to avoid getting jump scared?
Pretty much, yep. Yeah, you lose when you get jump scared. Although there's some exceptions to the rule. There are certain animatronics that I believe you have to get jump scared from to continue on, I think.
So, oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Like part of the story.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple more. So Fortnite will be available at lunch.
At lunch?
At lunch, yeah. Yeah, it's almost time for lunch. Grab your Fortnites. Grab your forts and your knives. I think I said that right. Okay. This one, I feel like maybe you'll be able to put some more opinions on this one, but they had some gameplay for Demon's Souls.
Oh, yeah. I don't have much of an opinion. I've played Demon's Souls. I never beat it. I got frustrated with it. This is pre-Dark Souls and all that. It's interesting to see Demon's Souls come out to PlayStation 5. We already talked about it a little bit on the reveal, but... yeah, I'm happy to see that it's there. I'm happy for all the Dark Souls fans out there, or original OG Demon Souls fans, I guess, that can play it again. It looks cool. I won't be playing, but I'm happy for everyone. I'll be watching the speed runs when they come out. So,
okay, cool. Let's see. Kind of still going in order. I'm gonna save this little bit for last, but yeah. So they did mention the PlayStation Plus collection that will be available at launch, and it seems like there's a lot of games in there that.
You know what's oddly missing though? Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just because like Miles Morales is going to be a big title, so it seems weird that the original Spider-Man isn't there. Other than that, this list is insane though. Like I love it. It's really, really, really well done.
Yeah, we have God of War, Bloodborne, Monster Hunter World, FF15, Fallout 4, Mortal Kombat 10, Uncharted 4, Ratchet & Clank, Days Gone, Until Dawn, Detroit Become Human, Battlefield 1, Infamous Second Son, Batman Arkham Knight, The Last Guardian, The Last of Us Remastered, Persona 5, Resident Evil 7, Biohazard. Like, that sounds like such a good lineup for anybody who has PlayStation Plus. Like, it would take you a while just to go through all those games. Yeah. Like that. I mean,
Uncharted
games...
is what, like all those. It's just that is the PlayStation 4 collection right there. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, which is why it makes sense that Spider-Man is the one that's missing. But I think like these games, if you haven't already played them, these are going to keep you busy for quite a while.
Yeah. That is such a good list though. Like you buy that and you are experiencing most of the best of PlayStation 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
And then so we got the release dates. Anyway, so just to kind of wrap this up, the very last thing that they teased before the end of the showcase was a little bit of some narration. We didn't really see any kind of gameplay or cinematics or anything. We kind of just see this little like Omega kind of looking symbol.
Oh, yep.
And we got this. Ragnarok is coming 2021 from Santa Monica Studios. So I had to read up into this, but it looks like Ragnarok is going to be a God of War game.
Yeah. The last God of War game on PlayStation 4 was Norse mythology. To anybody who doesn't know that, it used to be Greek mythology in the God of War series, and I actually never played the new God of War, so I don't know why it changed to Norse, but it's in Norse now. And So I guess they're bringing up the next part of Norse, which is kind of the end of days, as we know, Ragnarok. We know this because of our MCU stuff, but so Ragnarok is the end of days in the Norse mythology, and so I guess Kratos is going to Ragnarok.
Yeah. So I mean, it seems like people are pretty excited for that, I guess.
I would be. That would be, honestly, that means I don't know if Loki is in the God of War game on PlayStation 4. I wish I played it. I never got around to it. But if Loki is in it, then... Sorry, if he's not in it, I mean, then he'll have to be in Ragnarok. And, like, we're also going to get, like, the Midgard Serpent. We're going to get, like Normangander. We're going to get what's the Fenrir's Wolf. We're going to get all those things. Like, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be really fun if all that happens. And I'm sure Kratos is going to have to fight and destroy all of it. So
every single thing.
You're pretty much going to be Thor in the next Ragnarok, I would assume, if they're going with the actual Norse mythology.
Yeah. So, all right. That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'd be into it. I also didn't play the God of War games, but I've heard a lot of great things about them.
When I say that in a group of people, they all get really mad at me, and it makes me add another month to when I'll play God of War next.
Honestly, it's just all part of like my backlog, which I like. In my mind, I will get through them, but reality is that I will never get through every single game that I want to play.
I've got that list, and then Doom Eternal DLC is on the way, and I'm like, well, I'll just play this.
When's that coming?
I think it's October. I don't know. Oh, it's October something. It's fairly soon. So. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm trying not to think about it too much, but I know it's October.
Okay. So yeah, fairly soon. Anyway, so that was pretty much it for the showcase. It was a pretty short one. It was like 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly a price reveal, but they happened to show some of the cool stuff of their games as well, which is nice.
Yeah, I think that way they could just kind of justify actually putting together, like getting viewers on for 45 minutes just to kind of find out that what the price is.
They probably could have done the price reveal and been fine, but I mean, man, they rocked it by showing that many games. The amount of times I saw people making fun of Xbox on Twitter, it was nuts. Like, I was like, whoa, I didn't think there was like a console wars thing still going on. I thought everybody was pretty respectful these days, but I was like, whoa, like Xbox is hating on PlayStation and PlayStation is hating on Xbox again. Like,
no, I think that's gonna be a for everything. Like iPhone and
like
Android
your
users,
fan favorite,
yeah. But I think that's something like, okay, I haven't been following Xbox promos at all, but we did talk about how before Sony was a part of doing the E3, and then we used to be able to watch the E3 reveal in cinemas and like go to the theaters to actually watch them.
Yep.
And then during the most recent one that was actually like available, like the one that they actually did, Sony wasn't a part of it. And I kind of think, well, it's because Sony is able to do this. They're able to capture their audience. They're able to keep them kind of hooked on as things are moving forward with other companies, right? Like so. Yeah. We had a showcase. We had another showcase, and we're what, like a month and a half away or so from the actual launch. And who knows? There's probably going to be like another showcase, and it's really just Sony is trying to keep that hype going. So
that's
that
true.
They're pulling in, they're keeping their customers in, and just kind of like keeping their palate moist, right? Like I feel like they're just doing a good job.
The breadcrumbing, like the news to us, but the breadcrumbs are such big things, so it's really well done.
They're like croutons.
Yeah, you're right. Gigantic. Yes. It's like loaves of bread.
Just giant loaves of breads on the sidewalk, and everybody's just like, "Hey, where's this loaf coming from? I'm gonna follow it and get the other loaves."
But it's really doing well. Like the marketing is crazy. The people are very excited to buy. Obviously, it's saying that with the stock, so good on them. They're doing well. But hey, we'll see what happens when it all comes out.
Sales will tell.
I don't really know the launch lineup yet. I don't know if that's been revealed. But I know some of these games we had for launch, but I don't know like all the launch titles yet. But I don't know if it's good enough for a lot of people to buy the console, unless they really want it to buy just for Miles Morales. But I can't see that. I can't see people buying a new console just for that. But I guess it is more you're buying the console to have it for the future, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah, you're buying it as an investment, right? It's not like they come up with a new console every year. So
and it does play the PlayStation 4 games. So you're not losing anything by buying it actually. So it's not the same as like PS3 to PS4. So that is. Yeah, I just beat my own argument there.
Well, good job.
Yeah.
You did it.
Anth0z, that's all I got. Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
That's all I got. Wow.
That's all PS5 has got for now.
There we go. Well, good for them. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens for the rest of the year. We got an election coming up. We've got a console releasing soon. We've got freaking Mike Tyson coming back into the ring.
Oh yeah.
We've got a Doom Eternal DLC coming out. There's a lot to be excited about. Mandalorian season 2
going on.
Like,
yeah.
It's a big end of the year. Big end to a big year.
I'll just mention one more thing about the PS5. So I think there have been images of like how big it's supposed to be, and it's like a behemoth. So the PS5 console itself is just ginormous.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be heat distribution, like we were saying with the Xbox Series X. It was so concerned about it, and I was like, I don't know if PlayStation was all that concerned about it. Maybe they were. The console's shaped very strangely, but maybe that's all for heat distribution. I'm not sure.
I guess that's true. I know nothing about like thermodynamics when it comes to a console, but yeah.
It's almost got the same kind of GPU in it that the Xbox Series X has. It's just a little tiny bit worse, I think, but it's still quite good. But it's going to heat up like crazy, so I hope that they're paying attention to the heat on that thing.
Yeah, I hope so too. But yeah, so if you do invest in one, hopefully you have some space on your TV stand or your floor, I guess. Yeah.
Don't put on a carpet floor.
No, don't do that.
Are you going to stand yours up vertically, or are you going to put it horizontal?
I'll probably hang it.
Hang it from a wire?
Yeah, I feel like that'll help with the heat distribution.
Every now and then you'll just nudge it and it'll swing a little bit.
Yeah, I'll put some chimes on it, so every time like the wind blows, I'm like, oh, that's my PS5. Yeah, no, I haven't really thought about it. Like, I don't think, like, with what I have here... Also, I don't intend to get it right away unless I can get some sort of really good deal, which is unlikely. But if I were to get it now, I have no idea where I didn't have a space to put it. I live in an apartment. Apartments are not PS5 friendly, in my opinion.
I've got too many places to put it, but none of them have Ethernet cables in the wall, so...
Yeah, so you have... where? You can't put it in the attic. You can put it outside. Didn't you say you have some ether ports running from outside or something?
Coax.
And that'll help with the heat.
Coax,
okay,
but not
coax,
Ethernet. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Put it in the shed.
As all things should be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure you'll figure it out. If you want it badly enough, you will figure it out.
I don't, but if that Harry Potter game pans out, you know what? I may be the guy who buys a PlayStation 5 just for Harry Potter. We'll see.
Oh,
then again, if it comes out on computer, I guess I don't have to, but
that's true. But
my fiance really wants to play it though, so yeah.
Yeah, and aren't you gonna want to play on those new the new DualSense controllers with the X0 square triangle grip?
I don't know. I'm a fairly traditional guy, and the PlayStation 4 controller is the best controller out of all consoles I've ever used in my life.
Okay.
So I don't know if I want to mix it up. I don't know if I want to change that. PlayStation 4 controller, my only critique is the battery life. Other than that, it feels so comfy that I'm a little bit worried that the PlayStation 5 one might not be as comfy.
You know what? Okay, I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine about controllers, like console controllers. And he gave me like a picture of like pretty much like every single one like ever created.
Oh, yeah.
And asking me which one I thought was like the most comfy. And he said that he always really enjoyed the N64 one. I always enjoyed it too. I really like the GameCube one. GameCube one was probably my favorite. But I had to give kind of like an honorable mention to the Dreamcast controller. Oh, because it's such an odd shape, but
it's so weird.
It's very It looks like it's meant to be like a Game Boy,
but like the thing is like screen on it.
Yeah, the little that's where you're supposed to put like your memory card and other kind of stuff. But for some reason, maybe because my hands at the time were a lot smaller, it was oddly comfortable. Like I actually really enjoyed kind of wrapping my hands around it and playing with it, and it felt pretty solid. So, anyway, that's my take on controllers.
I like the N64 one as well. I'll agree with you on that. I don't like how the D-pad's on the left-hand side and no one ever holds it that way.
Yeah.
But it's almost like they mistakenly made a controller that still is comfy and works well, though. Even when you hold it the way most people hold it, where your left hand is on the center one. But it's because of that alone, it still feels wrong to me. But the Super Nintendo controller is actually quite comfy for how weird it is. Because it doesn't have handles.
Yeah,
but
it's just flat.
But you can actually hold that controller for long hours of play, and you're still fine.
Because it's nice and light, yeah.
Yeah. But still, again, PlayStation 4, though, I just think they nailed it. The weight, the way it bubbles out near the bottom of your hands, and then the triggers on the side, and just the face, how it feels with the buttons, how the face buttons just slide with your fingers so well. It's I can feel it now, and I'm not even holding one. Like, it's so nice.
PlayStation fanboy.
I am. Yep.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that, though.
The PlayStation 3 controller, though, I hated, and the Xbox controller I actually liked better than the PlayStation 3 controller.
PlayStation 3 controller
it's
was
too slippery. The DualShock 3s.
Yeah, it was like skinnier and longer, right?
Yeah, it was slippery. The ends weren't as long, so you couldn't hold onto as much. And and the triggers were not triggers. They were just
just like rounded buttons.
Actually, no. Were they triggers? God, now I'm not remembering. They were triggers, but they were taloned in, curved inwards. So it did not feel good when your finger hits it and slips off. It goes like click and just like slips off of the button there. Right. PlayStation 4 talons outwards, so it like contours to your finger better.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'm just looking at it now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, PlayStation 3 one, it wasn't very good. Also, the analog sticks, the oil the residue would get off of them, so it felt like the oil just kind of spread all over the controller over time, so I didn't like that either.
Oh, I don't think I've ever encountered that.
I had it on like 3 or 4 of my controllers.
Was that from like when you're like eating chips and then you grab the controller kind of thing?
No, it wasn't my oil.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well,
all right. On topic of my oil, let's finish it there.
Sure.
Anth0z, where can the audience find you?
Well, if you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at Anth0z1. That's at Anth0z1.
And if you want to find me on Twitter, trying my very best to actually social media, which is very tough. You can find me at Mattbrush Gaming on Twitter. If you want to see this podcast in video format with your own eyeballs, you can go to YouTube and type in the Scumm Bar Podcast. You'll find it on Mattbrush Gaming there as well. But if you want to listen to this podcast with your earballs, like most people do, you can go to any of your favorite podcasting platforms and find us there. We're available on Spotify. We're available on iTunes. We're available on everything.
Something.
Yeah.
And Anchor something.
We host our podcast through Anchor. They won't even tell us all the places they distribute on, so it's kind of crazy.
There must be it doesn't matter.
Nope, they won't tell us. It's a secret.
That's fine.
But we're available on everything. Just search for us and you'll find us. Just don't use
Great.
Podbean because that's the one I use, and I couldn't find us on there. So
okay, we're there, but don't look for us there.
Yeah, don't look for us because we are there. We're everywhere. Just look out your window. You'll find us. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. Anth0z, take it away.
The nighttime is the best time. The daytime is the other time. But the right time is always your time.
Hey!
Hey! All right, bye, everybody!
Bye!